Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Serious Film Critics. We're back. My name is Sam.
And I'm David.
Alrighty, good to be back in the saddle for episode 23. It's gonna be a doozy. We're gonna be going over a couple different movie reviews, recent Netflix original releases. We're gonna be doing The Cloverfield Paradox and The Ritual, and we're also gonna be just shooting the breeze for a bit, and we're gonna be doing some emails at the end of the show. So. Stay tuned, everybody. It's going to be a good one. How's it going, Dave? Good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you back on. We had a little hiatus, but we're going to be back in full force now, so.
Oh, yeah, we are. Yeah, it was fun hearing you and Adam hold down the fort. I wanted to see Hostiles. I just didn't have a chance to go see it this week, but it doesn't sound like I'm missing too much.
Yeah, I would like your opinion on it, but, I mean, yeah, it's fallen out of theaters pretty quick because I don't think it's doing that well.
Yeah, I don't know. Scott Cooper, I haven't really seen much of his that I love, so he did like that Out of the Furnace movie, and what else has he done?
I think he did Black Mass, actually.
Oh, yeah, I kind of liked Black Mass. It is a gangster movie, which like speaks to my soul, but it wasn't anything amazing.
Yeah, he seems the kind of guy that takes like good actors and makes okay movies, so.
Yeah, he's kind of like middle of the road.
And that's basically what Hostiles was, so.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know why. Like, listening to you guys talk about that, it really makes me want to watch Bone Tomahawk again.
Yeah, Bone Tomahawk is definitely a significantly superior Western.
I don't know, man. I'm itching to rewatch that thing. We're going to have to stay tuned, everybody. We're going to be doing a Western-themed episode here in the coming future, so it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be a huge episode.
It's going to be huge. We're going to be talking Bone Tomahawk in there, so... So how you been, man? What's anything going on in your life
not much.
recently?
I've been watching more crap on Netflix just because I've been bored. So I've got a few things we can go over.
Yeah. I've watched a lot of stuff since the last episode, but I'll talk about some things. I've been hitting the gym again pretty hard.
Oh yeah.
Now that the holidays are over and my show schedule at my theater is calmed down, I'm back in the gym. I gotta say, I think I've found a cardio exercise that I love.
Oh really?
Yeah, I'm swimming. I don't like my pool. I go to this LA Fitness and it has a pool there, and it never even crossed my mind to use it. It always seemed like there were either old people in there, or it just seemed like too much effort just to like bring in a swimsuit, or I don't know. They're just logistically, it was terrifying to me, but I don't know. Yesterday, I just was like, why don't I go swimming? Like, I hate doing cardio. I hate running. And I feel like I never do any cardio. So I literally just I went in the pool in my basketball shorts and swam some laps. And it felt amazing.
Well, I gotta say, man, some of the best exercise there is. So
yeah, like I felt pathetic though. I only did 7 laps. I'm not sure what the regulations in terms of like pool size are, but I glanced at some workouts on Google, and it like just Googled some swim workouts, and it was saying like an insane amount of laps, and it didn't sound right. Like it was saying like 32 laps or something for an exercise, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just in that bad of cardio shape, but I did 7 laps, and my body was on fire. Legs were burning, and I was gasping for air. Like,
I mean, swimming uses a lot of muscles you don't normally use, too.
Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing, too. There was this older gentleman next to me, and he didn't even look like he was in very good shape, but he was just pounding out laps, just without stopping. I was a little bit faster than he was, even though I think my form is terrible when I'm in the pool, but he was just like as steady as it goes, just back and forth, and I had to rest for like a minute in between each lap.
He's just going nonstop.
So yeah, I've been doing that. What you been watching, man?
Actually, have you heard of this movie Spectral?
No, I haven't.
It's weird. It's like apparently it was like a decently big budget movie with like not really any major actors in it, and it was scheduled for like a theatrical release like in summertime. And then at the last minute, they decided to just ship it off to Netflix. So it's like, I mean,
so it's a Netflix original too?
Yeah, it's a Netflix original, but it was originally going to be like a Universal or something movie.
No, I did not. I haven't even heard about it. Is anybody who's in it?
It's got like James Badge Dale. I think he's in something. Either it might be the Pacific.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay,
mean, there's
might
not really
recognize
anybody
him.
big.
Not even huge, but still.
But I mean, obviously, and like the effects were amazing. Like it's a science fiction film, and it's like set in the near future, and like it was okay. But like in terms of like science fiction angle, I thought it was amazing because it was like it reminded me a lot. I also watched Chappie, so it's fitting of
Oh yeah, Chappie, some
Neil Blomkamp, like the way he does science fiction movies. It was really like reminiscent of that.
Oh, that's interesting. Spectral. Maybe I'll check that out.
I would actually recommend it. If you like sci-fi, I would recommend it because it's like the plot wasn't terribly interesting, but like the action was good and the effects were really good.
Yeah, some of those science fiction movies anyway, I don't really care about the plot. I just want to see some visuals I haven't seen before.
Yeah, they do a lot of that.
Some good action. Cool, man. I might have to check that one out. Speaking of Neil Blomkamp, I watched a couple of his shorts recently. Have you heard about the shorts he's done?
I've seen some of the one with like the body parts or whatever, and then I watched the one he did for the car commercial.
Which one was that?
That's the one. I don't remember if it was Audi or BMW or what. It's got Clive Owen in it and John Bernthal, and it's actually pretty good. I thought a lot of people didn't like it.
Oh man, yeah, I didn't see that one. I guess he has this Oat Studios or something that is just pumping out these shorts. I saw that one you were talking about. I think it's called Zygote. It's got Dakota Fanning in it.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually pretty good. It kind of reminded me of The Thing. It's kind of this creature that's composed of all these different people that are on this Arctic base, and it's hunting her down. It was pretty good. And then I watched another one. I can't remember what it was called. It might have been called Raka or something. And it was about this apocalyptic future where these aliens land and basically just start harvesting humans. And I guess kind of like use humans for their own scientific experiments. I think they use like human energy. So you see all these scenes of humans being like used as, combined with energy in these weird or combined with machinery in these weird experiments. It was pretty visually interesting. I wasn't crazy about the plot where it went in the second half of it, but yeah, this guy, I would be curious to see what he would do with an alien movie.
I think that could end up being a very good movie because I think his major weakness, I actually like pretty much all of his movies, but he's not very good with plot and story. So I think if you paired him up with like Alien, where he didn't have to do that. I mean, I don't know if he writes his movies or not. I'm assuming he wrote District 9, but I think if you paired him up with a really good screenwriter and like an established lore and just let him do the visual stuff, I think you could make a really good movie.
I think so too, because this guy really has some amazing visual ideas.
Like even in that car commercial, like it's like just like this generic like action. It's like I'm pretty sure it was him, and it's like the visuals in that are really good too. Like every movie he makes, like he has very good cinematography. The effects are always really good.
Man, I gotta watch this car commercial. What kind of car is it for?
I can't remember if it's like it might be Audi or BMW or something. I'll have to Google it real quick. But
I'm sure.
I mean, I like it a lot.
How was Chappie? I've never seen Chappie. I know it's floating around on Netflix. I just never get around to it.
Oh man,
Is it kind of a long movie? I feel like I always see it's like I just don't know if I'm up for like a 2-hour, 15-minute movie.
I don't remember it being that long. It went by pretty quick. And it's BMW. And
BMW, nice.
It's like it was really uneven. Like the story was honestly kind of terrible, but it had some like interesting ideas. The villain, Hugh Jackman, was awful. He didn't make any sense.
Hugh Jackman is in it as the villain?
Yeah, and he like nothing he does makes any sense in the movie. Like, and then Sigourney Weaver's in it, and she really doesn't need to be in the movie at all.
Oh man, I wonder if that was sort of a let me do the next Alien movie. Here's Sigourney Weaver in a science fiction movie I'm doing.
it's like there's some comedy in it, but it was kind of funny, and then like the action is really good when it happens, but it's like the plot just made no sense.
Is Sigourney Weaver the main character, or
no? She's not the main villain or the main protagonist. She's just like the CEO of this company. Like they make these police robots, and then one of the engineers like uploads an artificial intelligence into it, and it starts learning like a person. And Hugh Jackman is like an engineer in the company that came up with his own robot, which is like way bigger and has like missile launchers and stuff on it. And the police are like, we don't need that, obviously, and he wants them to have it.
I haven't seen it, but I see this being a really over-the-top performance by him.
He just goes nuts.
I can already just picture it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, because at first you don't even think he's going to be the villain necessarily, because he's like explaining how he thinks these robots, if they're purely artificial intelligence, could be dangerous. And I was like, well, that's a good point. And then he's like just goes nuts and starts killing everybody at the end, basically. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, everybody, for Chappie. If you,
Yeah, the characters
haven't
also,
seen it,
they're not much. I kind of like that he used some really goofy actors that are like rappers as the main characters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like their accents, like in every one of his movies, are impossible to understand. And then it's like, but I kind of thought it was interesting that he used like these, like they wear like these really goofy clothing. And the guy has like a bright yellow gun he uses, but it was interesting to pick those kinds of people to be your main characters in a movie.
It feels like, and maybe it was always this way, but it feels like it's like a thing now to put just celebrities in big movie roles and just see how it goes. I don't know.
I think that's been a thing in the past, and I think it's kind of gone in and out of favor. Because remember when OJ was making movies?
Oh yeah, that's true. He was in all those not Police Academy. What are those called again? Naked Gun movies.
Naked Gun, yeah.
Yeah.
And then what's his name was in Airplane, right?
Oh, was it Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Yeah. I guess that's true. It always has. Speaking of NBA players, they're making some movie called Uncle Drew. Did you see the trailer for this?
No.
It is literally, I can't believe this is a movie. I think it was based on this, I don't know if it was a short or maybe it was even I think it was a commercial actually with Kyrie Irving in old man makeup, I guess going to like a
I have seen
basketball.
Those.
Yeah, and they're making a movie on that, like a full-length movie, and it's got Shaquille O'Neal in it as an old guy, like basketball player, and Reggie Miller, and who else? It's literally all basketball players starring in this big budget, like a feature movie coming out. I mean, that could be a disaster.
I guess if they're willing to take the risk.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. All right. What have I? Oh, I saw Black Panther last night.
Yeah, I'm curious about your opinion on that.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I am not a Marvel fan by any means, and even this movie, it's not even close to being one of my favorite movies or anything like that. But for a Marvel movie, what it's trying to do, I thought it was really, really good. Some of the things that annoy me most about these Marvel movies, and one of the reasons why I hate them so much, the biggest reasons are, number one, it feels like they always try to tie in too much Marvel crap. It's almost baggage you have to come into the movie knowing. It's like pre-watch baggage that you have to have. Like, oh, well, I know how all these characters relate, and I know that this character is going to show up in this movie. So what was the last thing that happened to him? And luckily, this movie doesn't really have any of that, which I loved. It really just stands on its own as its own story. There's the only scene where there's a character from one of the other Marvel movies is the second post-credit scene, which I didn't even care about at all. It was like after the full run of credits, it had that guy Bucky in it or whatever.
Oh yeah, I actually think I might have seen that.
Who just seemed like, I don't even think I've seen one of the movies with him in it, but he just seems terrible.
Yeah, people like him. I can't stand him. He's probably one of my least favorite characters in the entire MCU, actually.
Yeah, there was maybe 30 seconds of him in this movie, and I felt like falling asleep in those 30 seconds. He was just so lifeless. But yeah, so there's no real tie-in stuff, and the villain is actually really, really good. It's that guy Michael B. Jordan, who I actually like a lot, and this director Ryan Coogler uses him in pretty much all his movies. He was the guy who did Creed, which, dude, you've got to see Creed. Creed is so good.
Yeah, I will eventually.
Man, I loved Creed. In this movie, another thing that was great about it are the fight scenes. There's a couple of these one-on-one battles that I guess to become Black Panther, to lead this nation of Wakanda or whatever, you have to someone of royal lineage can challenge for that right. So there's a couple different challenge sequences in it that are amazing. And they reminded me of Creed. Like, he's really good at filming kind of one-on-one combat sequences. So the the score was good. Yeah, I liked it quite a bit. I would say that and Spider-Man, that recent Spider-Man, are probably my favorite of the Marvel cinematic catalog. So I would definitely recommend checking it out. I was pleasantly surprised.
All right, so that'll be our Black Panther review, since I doubt we'll be doing an episode on that one.
Nah. But yeah, definitely recommend. I don't know. I haven't really watched anything else too interesting. I watched Starship Troopers again recently, which I love.
Yeah, that's an amazing movie.
I forgot how much I love that movie.
I think a lot of people just don't get it too, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think they get how the subversive elements to it. It's amazing. It's just such a good movie. I hadn't seen it in years, and it was free on demand. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just throw this on, and I was sucked into it, man. Like, it's so Johnny Rico.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in there. Would you like to know more? That's the best part of the movie, I feel like, every time they do that.
Yeah, those would you like to... Oh, man. If you guys haven't seen Starship Troopers, do yourself a favor.
Yeah, it's a quality
all right,
film.
I guess we can just jump into these reviews because we have 2 of them to do today. So,
yeah,
what do you want to start with out of these?
I guess
2?
we'll start with the Cloverfield paradox. I actually think I'm a little rough on the plot on this one, but
yeah, this plot, man, I don't know. I might not be helping you much here. We can just kind of give a very generalized plot on this one, I think.
Yeah, we're gonna foreshadowing here is we didn't like this movie that much. I'm assuming you didn't like it that much.
No.
All right, so
we'll get to it.
So, first of all, I think we should mention that during the Super Bowl they dropped an advertisement. This was really bold, I feel like, saying that right after the Super Bowl they're having a Cloverfield movie on Netflix available right now that nobody knew anything about, which I thought was a cool idea. They just didn't pick a good enough movie to do it with.
Oh, was there actually a Super Bowl ad?
Yeah, there was an ad, and they were like, this movie's going to be available right after the Super Bowl, and nobody knew it was coming. I didn't know anything about it.
Oh, man, yeah, I didn't see it. I just remember I got on Netflix after the Super Bowl and just to maybe watch something, and it popped up, and I was like, oh, what's that? I didn't watch it then, but yeah, it's a cool idea. I think they just, I don't know, this wasn't the movie for it, I don't think.
Yeah, and the best part is, like, Cloverfield isn't on Netflix. So I was like, why don't we watch Cloverfield? Oh, wait.
Yeah, actually, this movie made me want to watch Cloverfield and revisit that, and it's not even on Netflix. I don't even think the quote-unquote sequel is on there, that 10 Cloverfield Lane. Because I never saw that, and I'm mildly interested in seeing it, but that's not on Netflix either, so yeah, I don't know. Stuck with this guy.
Yeah, so let's just get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's get down and dirty here.
So it's directed by Julius Ona, who I've never heard of, and J.J. Abrams produced it, but I'm not sure how much involvement he actually had.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like his involvement was just his little bad robot promo at the beginning.
All right. So basically it opens up in the future. Earth is, they're having like a major energy crisis, and there's like, what are they on, a space station up there, or is it a spaceship? I don't know.
It seems like it's kind of a hybrid, or I think it's a space station, but it's a very mobile space station that seems like it can travel pretty easily.
Yeah, so basically there's a big multinational crew up there, and the main character we're following, I don't remember her name. Ava?
We should play a game of name that crew. This movie.
Oh man. I couldn't name a single one of them, I think.
The only one I can name is Monk. And I not because he was honestly probably the most forgettable of the bunch. It was that bald guy. This crew was so forgettable. Yeah, you remember the bald guy?
No, I do not remember the bald guy.
I couldn't tell you anything about him regarding his personality or any of his lines of dialogue. I just remember, for some reason, one of the characters said Monk, and it flashed to him, and that name, I think because it's just kind of a weird name, it stuck with me.
There's legitimately not a single name I could pull out of this movie. I mean, I knew some of the actors, that was it.
I actually remember one other name too, Schmidt. I don't know how I remember that, but Schmidt was what's that guy's
Daniel Grohl.
Who did he? Yeah, from Inglourious Bastards. What was his name in Inglourious Bastards? Private something.
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff actually.
Yeah, he's in a decent amount of stuff. Yeah, I can't name anybody else on the crew.
All right. Yeah. So it opens with the woman is like basically telling her husband or boyfriend that she's going up there, and he's like, you got to do what you got to do.
Yep.
Yeah, so she goes up there, and they're up there trying to do something to solve the energy crisis. And we also get oh god. There's also this thing about this guy who I thought was just like a dumb conspiracy theorist. That's how they present him in the movie. Basically talking about the Cloverfield paradox, like what they're doing has the potential to like open up a portal to another dimension and like bad stuff could come through it.
That was the worst.
That was absolutely the worst thing.
I can't wait to get to some of this stuff. Oh man, I just part of me just wants to flag that right there, but well, I guess
and the funny thing is I thought the characters weren't going to take what he was saying seriously, but they were very seriously.
Well, and not only were they taking what he said seriously, what happened was exactly what that guy said. That's exactly what happened. And it's just like, it's the most outlandish statement. I guess we could just get into this part right now. This conspiracy theorist is talking about, and by the way, as always, there's going to be spoilers here, so I don't think any of you care, but
yeah, you should know by now.
Yeah, we're about to spoil the shit out of Cloverfield Paradox. But yeah, so this guy, this conspiracy theorist, whatever he is, like a physicist or something, is saying that demons are going to be released if you turn on this Hadron Collider or whatever it is. And that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, and I mean, the best part is like, I still remember this line so clearly, where Ava, is it her boyfriend? It's her husband.
Actually sounds right.
And he's like, it's that damn Cloverfield paradox, isn't it? And I was like, really, dude? Really?
Oh, man, it's cringeworthy.
Yeah, really.
That's even just the worst name for it, the Cloverfield paradox.
And it was just like such a hardcore shoehorn to get Cloverfield into the title.
Yeah, that is so... I think that wasn't the space station's name, the name was Cloverfield of the space...
Maybe.
I think that was the name of the space station, was Cloverfield, and so the Cloverfield paradox is just the nonsensical things that happen when they turn that Hadron Collider on.
What I also don't understand is how this ties into the Cloverfield movie. I thought this movie's set in the future. I don't think Cloverfield is set in the future, is it?
I think I know how it ties in, but we'll get to that. We can get to that after.
Yeah. I mean, we know how it ties in because they show a monster at the end.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. So they're on the station. There's a lot of infighting because Earth is like, they're at war down on Earth. And, you got like Daniel Bruhl is the German engineer. There's American, Brazilian, Irish, Russian. They're all up there. Russian and the German guy get into it. And they end up, I guess, whatever their experiment is succeeds. And then when they go to look out the window, Earth is no longer there. It's just gone. And the space station basically got sucked into another dimension. And it's at this point, I think, that they find the woman on the station now, right?
Yeah.
Apparently her name is Mina.
And I am sorry, but they hear screams. Like, those screams were not human.
Yeah, I know.
Those were the further... That was probably the one instance in this movie, because I didn't really know a lot about it going in. I didn't really, like, check Rotten Tomatoes or anything. I didn't expect much, but there was a minute there where, like, the screams happen. I'm like, okay, maybe this might be kind of interesting. Is there going to just be a monster on board or something? I was like, I might be down for that. But no, it's even though the screams are clearly inhuman, they just tear away this wall panel and what did she like fuse
she's
with
like
the
stuck
ship
in there or whatever, and they get her out.
I can't remember what her name is either, but
that her name is Mina. Apparently, that's the one that goes
Mina?
crazy,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So they get her out and they're trying to figure out what's going on, and then the one guy like he dies and a bunch of worms explode out of him.
Oh right.
Yeah, that never really gets addressed again.
No.
And then the one guy, the Irish guy, he's in some movies.
Oh, is that Chris O'Dowd or whatever? The guy with the hand.
Yeah, he was on like the IQ
Yeah.
crew, I think.
Yeah, he was in Bridesmaids. I know he's been in some things.
Yeah, so his arm gets sucked into a wall and then like cut clean off, and he doesn't even really seem to care that much.
That was, man, all right, that was my least favorite part of the movie. We'll get into that. I'll save it. I'll save it.
And then I think that after this point, the horror aspect of the movie is actually over and just goes back to regular science fiction.
Yeah.
I think that's the last horror thing that happens. And then they're trying to figure out how to get back, and I think that the girl Mina, I think they're like in Mina's universe now or something, where like they're already in war or whatever.
Yeah, I guess they're in an alternate dimension because they find Earth in this other dimension, but it's not the Earth that they remember. I guess there's, instead of like a war with Russia or whatever, they're warring with China in this dimension. So, or something like that. And there was an alternate crew of the Cloverfield that, I guess the Cloverfield, when they turned the hadrogen collider on, it crashed, or the mission failed. So I guess this was that future, or that alternate reality.
I guess. Well, let's just get this over with so we can talk about it.
Yeah, and then
so basically they figure out how to get back to their home dimension through some shenanigans. The chick Mina goes crazy. She kills a couple people. I actually think the guy Daniel Bruhl survives. And then basically him and the main character Ava get in their they eject in a escape capsule. And as they're crashing towards Earth, this made no sense to me either. The guy, Ava's husband, is like, "No, don't let him do it.
No, don't do it."
And then as soon as they crash, there's a giant monster, I guess, that rode the escape pod to Earth.
Did it ride? Is that what it was? It rode the escape pod? I think it was already there.
Well, no, because I mean, it appeared just as the escape pod was there. So either way, it was like their fault, I think.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, this movie was some steaming garbage, man.
I mean, the more I think about the plot, like the word, like I was like probably like a third of the way through the movie, I was like willing to give it a chance. But the more I think about how dumb the plot was.
Yeah, there was maybe a 5-minute section of the movie where I was mildly interested, probably around the maybe 20 minutes in. I was like, okay, where's this going? And it just, from there, it is straight downhill. It just plummets for the rest of the way. And I hated it. I mean, I hated this movie. Like, I was thinking about it after, and I don't think there's one positive thing I can say about it. There were things that didn't offend me as much as others, but I don't know that I can say I liked anything about this movie. It was brutal.
Yeah, I can't
to get through.
Think of a single thing I liked about this movie. But I mean, you know, I think the one thing I liked is that there were some actors that I like think are okay. Like I like Daniel Bruhl, and that guy Chris O'Dowd.
I like him too. Yeah, I thought he was terrible in this movie.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like him outside of it. Daniel Bruhl was he was just really forgettable to me in this movie. I didn't. He was better than Chris O'Dowd, but it just made me want to watch Inglourious Bastards again. Or,
pretty much every actor in this was so forgettable. Like I forgot how many people were even in it.
Yeah, everybody was forgettable in it, and oh man, I'm just trying to think what's the best place to start with this thing. I guess
we can talk about the Cloverfield paradox thing, how cheesy their tie-in was.
Yeah, this movie does not feel like well, I don't even know what a Cloverfield movie feels like in particular, but it feels like they just made really low. I don't even think this was that low budget though, but it feels low budget.
Like it kind of felt like a cross between like better than what you would see on TV, but definitely not as good as what you'd expect from a movie.
No, not at all. Or it almost feels like a few steps up from not a sci-fi original, but just something you would see on the Sci-Fi Channel. I don't know. It was not good, and all of the actors.
What's going on with like how did this even tie into Cloverfield? Because I thought that monster rode the escape pod, but maybe it didn't because I'm reading the plot and I guess I missed that there was already a monster on Earth.
I think what happened is when they turned that switch to turn the Hadron Collider on or whatever, I think it just opens portals and monsters came through the portals onto Earth. I think that's literally what. So
that's why he was telling them not to come back to Earth because they're going to get eaten.
Yeah, because I think there were like monsters there. See, in the first Cloverfield, it's not clear that there's like multiple monsters because the monster you see at the end of this movie, that's not the same monster you see in Cloverfield. I don't think.
No, I don't think so either.
It looked. I mean, I haven't seen Cloverfield in years, but I remember it enough to know that it didn't look like that. So I guess it's supposed to be suppose that portals opened and just monsters came through exactly as that conspiracy theorist predicted. And that is just the dumbest, laziest plot I've ever heard in my life. And I don't know, I guess they're trying to just say quantum theory is unpredictable, and I guess theoretically, anything could happen when quantum theory is involved. Who's to say monsters wouldn't appear?
Yeah, really, that's basically what he's saying. Like, bad, crazy, weird monsters might come. I don't know.
And even in that stupid interview with the theorist, they're just like, someone even asked him, "Are you saying that if we do this, monsters could appear?" And he's like, I'm like, "That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying demons will inhabit the earth." And it just,
yeah, I believe it.
It is just the cheesiest, corniest plot device ever.
Yeah.
And
where else can we go? The acting was just.
The acting was brutal. I didn't connect. I didn't care about any of those characters in the least.
I mean, like the guy
and
Chris
to me,
O'Dowd tries to be comic relief, and it's like, eh.
But he wasn't funny at all. The worst part to me, my least favorite scene or segment of the movie was when he loses his arm. That made no sense. This guy just lost his arm inexplicably in this wall, which that also doesn't make. We'll get to that in a minute. None of these deaths make any sense or have any kind of through line. They're just totally random occurrences. But he loses his arm, and he's so casual about it. And I don't know, the movie didn't establish a very comedic tone at all. It's taken pretty seriously. And out of nowhere, Chris O'Dowd loses his arm, and he's just kind of like, "Oh, well, what the heck happened to my arm? Where's my arm at?"
He's like, "Well, with one arm, I can still do what I need to do."
Yeah, and then they find the arm a little bit later in the movie, and the arm randomly writes. The arm writes the next thing they need to do, which makes no sense either. And he's like, "Look at my arm. My arm's, my arm's saving the day." And it is the worst. I wanted to blow my brains out watching that.
I mean, it's like it goes through phases of being horror, and then it just ends again.
Yeah, this movie should have stuck to being. I mean, it wouldn't have been particularly original, but even if I would have just rather have watched like a body horror movie aboard this spaceship, but it just goes to really weird places that don't make any sense. The guy, the Russian guy spitting the worms out, that makes no sense, and it's not addressed. He just does it. Like every death or thing that happens in this movie has no bearance on any other plot point. It just happens. Like it's like they just said, "Oh, well, there are worms on this ship. Let's have this Russian guy just have all these worms inside of him," and that kills him.
Yeah, and that
it just made no sense.
Like it was just a totally random thing, and then it's not even really addressed again.
Plus, the imagery of that was completely ripping off Alien before he spits the worms out.
Yeah.
His whole body is, moving like in Alien, and it looks like something's going to pop out of his chest, and then he just ends up spitting out all those worms. But it's clearly just an Alien ripoff there. I actually thought something was going to pop out of his body, and I thought it was going to be maybe like a baby monster.
Yep, me too.
And that was going to be aboard the ship. It sets it up as if that's what's going to happen. And, man, yeah, it made no sense. The relationships I didn't care about. Every time they cut back to the husband on Earth, it was brutal. I had no idea why he finds that little girl, this random little girl that I don't know if he befriends her or takes her under his wing, but that made no sense, and I didn't care about it. They go in this bunker together, and I didn't even understand why any of that had to be in the movie, and that relationship meant nothing to me.
Yeah, you really didn't care whether he was going to see that woman again. They really did not seem to care about each other at all.
No, I couldn't have cared less about that relationship. The main woman on the Cloverfield and her husband are they'll cut back to the husband on Earth, and he's not really even doing anything. He's just driving around. And I don't know if him finding that girl was supposed to be an emotional substitute for their daughter, who I guess died or something. I don't know, but it had no impact on me. And at the very end of the movie, they try to shoehorn in this major emotional decision where the main character is trying to decide between staying in this alternate dimension where I guess her family is still alive or going back to her own dimension where her child is dead. And I didn't give a crap.
Yeah, I couldn't have cared. I don't know what's going on, and I just want this to be over.
I couldn't have cared less. And it's portrayed like this big decision. And I think part of that, too, is you don't get any idea of who any of these characters are. There's no development behind them. And the main girl, you don't really know anything about her until 2/3 of the way through the movie. And then you're supposed to care as if oh man, I really hope she gets to see her daughter again. That's a real tough choice. And I just didn't feel that at all.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many people on that ship, and none of them get even the least amount of character development. I mean, they have like that little crap between like the German and the Russian, like, oh, you're trying to sabotage us, aren't you? Like, yeah, I'm sure that's why that dude is up there. Because he wants to, like, see the world end so Germany can beat Russia in a war or something.
And haven't they already been up there for years and years? Like, I remember they showed that calendar at the beginning. Isn't it like day 800 or something?
Yeah, I think they've been up there forever.
So I'm pretty sure that guy would have made a move before 3 years in or whatever. It's, this is brutal. I mean, this is going to be really low down. When we do another list of movies we've watched for the podcast, this is going to be close to the bottom.
Yeah, this won't be bottom for me.
The bottom for me.
Close.
It's going to be real close for me. I don't know, but the score, I don't even remember the score, so clearly it wasn't very good. Obviously the direction was bad because I think pretty much everything about this movie was mediocre, so the direction wasn't anything special. And it just feels like some of these ideas, speaking of the direction, maybe could have been interesting if they had been handled well, and they're just not handled well. Maybe in the hands of a better director, I would have cared about that main girl's decision as to whether or not to stay in this dimension or go back to her own. Maybe if that had been handled well, I would have cared, or maybe... I mean, there's a lot of maybes in this movie. Maybe if this had gone differently, I would have cared, but the way it went was not good.
Yeah, I actually didn't even know about the dead daughter either because I was really like zoned out at that point.
I gotta say, did you watch this in one sitting?
No, I didn't.
I did, but man, I swear I stopped the movie on 2 or 3 different occasions for no reason. Literally, there were a few times I stopped the movie just to get on my phone and look on the internet at nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I had to, I think I stopped it with like 40 minutes left because I was like, I can't do any more tonight.
I gotta say, this was the longest. This movie wasn't very long, but I remember at one point I was dying. Yeah. I was sure that this movie had to be almost over. And I was probably 45 minutes in, and there was still almost an hour to go, and I just couldn't believe it. I was in absolute shock, and that's one of the times where I had to pause it and get a snack, and I think I went to the bathroom and screwed around on my phone for about 10 minutes before I even thought about starting it up again. In fact, I think I was tempted to stop the movie, but then I think that's right around when we decided we're going to review it. So I was like, right,
yeah, you had to power through.
I'll soldier on through the rest of this thing.
Is there anything else we even need to talk about?
I don't think there's much else I have to say about it. It's terrible. Go watch Alien or The Thing or something much, much better.
Let's just
all right, you
put a number on this.
Let's rate. Yeah, I'm gonna go a 2 out of 10.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 10.
You love this thing.
Yeah, I know. I think the reason I'm giving it a 3 out of 10 is because I was marginally excited to watch it just because of the way they marketed it. I was like, oh well, this could be cool. And then for like the first 20 minutes, I was like, well, all right, let's see what happens. And then I was like,
Well, I think it could have been cool. It's not that the overall idea isn't that bad. It's just everything else about it is so poorly executed that it is terrible. And yeah, I think honestly, I was tempted to give this thing like a 0 or the lowest possible rating, but there are things that aren't offensive about it to me. Some of the elements in terms of the acting and the visuals were competent enough where I couldn't give it the lowest possible rating.
I think that
I had
some
to bump
of the
it up a little bit.
Were like passable.
Yeah, some of the performances were okay. I mean, I can't say it was the worst movie I've ever seen or anything like that, but it was really bad, really mediocre. I just think my biggest issue is I just can't find anything I liked about it.
I mean, I probably would have kept it like around a 4 or 5 if it didn't genre shift so many times. That was my biggest issue.
Yeah. Yeah, if it had stuck to horror or even science fiction, one of those, I think it would have been much better. But tonally, and in terms of tonally, it was all over the place, and in terms of genre, it just didn't know what it wanted to be. So I don't know, man. It was tough sledding for me.
All right.
So let's bag that thing and move on, never to talk about again. Man, how much would it take for you to watch that movie 100 times in a row?
In a row?
In a row.
Like, do I get breaks and stuff or what?
I mean, it's the classic one we've had where you get 6 hours of sleep, and then you like get your meals while you're watching it.
I mean, 100 times in a row. How many times can you watch this in a day? Like, probably like 15, maybe. No, probably not even that many times. Because it's a
no, not if you sleep. So this would probably be a couple weeks straight of watching this.
Oh man,
it would take a lot of money, man.
I would need like probably over $1 million.
I think I would too. I would rather watch Doom than this. Hands
Yeah,
down.
me too. I would give Doom a better rating too.
I would too. All right, should we move on to The Ritual?
Yeah.
All right, this is another Netflix original, pretty recently released.
Yeah, I think this just
it was
dropped
released at the beginning
on Netflix
in
like
the beginning
a week ago.
Yeah. So, all right, I guess you want to lead us into this guy.
Yeah, so
Dave?
this is a apparently 2017 film. I think Netflix just picked it up. Directed by David Bruckner, and I think it's based on a novel. Yeah, it is. And starring a bunch of actors I've never heard of. Rafe Spall, Arshur Ali.
I've heard of. He's the only one I've heard of. I can't remember what he's been in, but I know I'd seen him before. But everybody else I hadn't.
How many of these names do you remember? The character names?
Oh man, I name that.
I'm looking at the list, and there's only one that looks even remotely familiar.
Is Lucas one of them?
Yeah, apparently the main character is Luke.
Oh, okay. Was there John?
No John.
Oh man, I don't. Was there a name beginning with the letter E, like an Ethan or Edgar or something?
Nope.
All right, never mind. I don't remember any of them other than Luke.
All right, let's just hop into this. So we got a group of four. Well, actually, it's 5 friends in the beginning. I'm looking at the Wikipedia summary. It actually skips the beginning. It's Phil, Luke, Hutch, Dom. I don't even remember who the last guy is.
Oh, I do remember Dom.
Yeah.
I do remember Dom now that he's the
Dom is the guy I think that
with the
wanted them
leg.
to take the shortcut, right?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. They're sitting in a restaurant deciding where they're going to take their next holiday, and they're like naming all these places.
Going on holiday.
Do they decide to go hiking? I think they do there.
Yeah, I think it's brought up. I don't know if they decide on it, but they definitely mention it. I think like Vegas is another choice, and then something else, and then one of them, I think it's Luke, mentions hiking.
Yeah, they want
in Sweden or whatever.
Rough it in the Swedish wilderness. So after that, it shows that it's Luke and I guess their friend Rob are in a convenience store, and it's being robbed by 2 street toughs with melee weapons.
Pun intended.
Yeah, because they don't have any guns in England. And
it's being robbed.
Yeah. The guy Luke hides while his friend Rob ends up getting killed by one of the robbers. So then later on, they're in the Swedish wilderness hiking, and they go to like basically they want to set up a little shrine to their friend to like remember him by. And the guy Luke is basically like racked with guilt that he just hid while his friend got killed. Yeah. So on their way, who's the guy that trips? Hutch?
I think it's the guy who hurts his leg.
Yeah.
That's Dom, I think.
Dom is the guy I think that wants to take the shortcut, I thought.
But I think the guy who wants to take the shortcut is the guy who hurts his leg.
No, the guy that hurts his leg is like the scaredy cat kind of guy.
Hold on. That's
you
who
said
I
Dom
thought was
falls
Dom.
in interest. It's the guy. Hutch must be the tougher guy then, because Dom it says is the guy. The guy that hurts his knee is not the guy that wants to take the shortcut. I think, because he says he like tore his meniscus or something.
Yeah, but didn't he want to take the shortcut to make the trip faster?
I thought that was the guy that like thought he knew where he was going.
Well, I think there was another guy that also wanted to take the shortcut.
Yeah, because the guy that like leads them through the woods, he's the one that checks the map. That's not the guy.
Okay,
that hurts his
here
knee.
I got the. No, all right. Dom is the scared guy. Oh wait, is he?
Yeah, he must be because he's the one that hurts his knee with the glasses.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'm looking at their on Letterboxd their pictures, and they look different.
Yeah,
in these actor headshots, this guy has like a really serious expression, but yeah, that's Dom, and Hutch I think is like the kind of the pseudo leader, right?
Yeah, he's like the guy that kind of thinks he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I think he's the guy that wants to take the shortcut as well, or like he's the main proponent of taking
Because
it.
I guess they were basically staying in like a lodge, and like the way they hiked was just straight through the open field, so they could literally see where they were going easily. And he said, well, if we just take the shortcut through the woods, we can cut the time in half.
Best idea ever. You could not pay me enough money to go through those woods.
Yeah,
man.
especially when it's already getting dark.
Looking down that valley, there is no amount of money in the world I would pay to go in those woods. Even any kind of supernatural. I mean, I don't think there'd be ghosts in there, but I would be worried about bears or
moose.
Moose. No way.
I mean, it was like
no way.
Like, to me, it was so dumb because it's like hiking through the woods is like harder, and it's like they literally were a straight shot. Like it was really far. How far the lodge was, but it was like they could see the lodge from where they were standing. So it's like that would be a much, much easier hike because you just go in a straight line.
And they could have reached the lodge without going in the woods at all.
Yeah, because I mean, you could see it from where they were. I think maybe there was a little section of woods, but either way, it was literally they were standing in giant open fields.
Okay, right. So they take the path through the woods.
Yeah, and of course it's a mistake. So while they're going through the woods, they see some kind of weird it's a deer hanging from the tree. It's like been gutted.
Yeah.
And then
that would have also been the first point where if somehow I had taken the woods, I would have turned back.
And at that point they're trying to convince him to turn back, I think, too, and they won't do it. Because it's like one guy wants to go back the way they came, one guy wants to go another way, and then one guy just wants to like stay the night. So they come across a cabin, and this is the second smart decision.
Yeah, seriously.
That people like obviously have lived in recently because there's stuff in there, and they're like, "Well, we'll stay in this cabin. They won't care." Like, yeah, or they'll kill you when they catch you breaking and entering.
Come on, Dave. They're a couple of mates. They're not afraid of anything. Yeah, so they're at the cabin.
Yeah, so they go into this cabin that's obviously it's got like an old like musket on the wall, but it's like obvious people live in there. And then the cherry on top is that they go up to the attic and there's like an effigy up there, and it's like obviously been recently put there, and then that still doesn't convince them to leave.
Yeah, that I can't even tell you how fast I would be running if I went up. I mean, if I went upstairs and saw that thing and saw that people were inhabiting that house with that up there, I would be. I don't even know. I would be booking it. I mean, I'd be knees to chest.
Yeah, I mean, I would have run straight out of those woods back into the fields and pitched my tent, or maybe just ran straight to the lodge and not stopped.
Yeah.
So anyway, they stay the night, and of course, tons of bad stuff happens. The one guy, Luke, has first. I think he sees like some lights outside, and he thinks that there's like a monster or people coming in. And then I think he has a dream about the robbery he was in. So then they wake up, and Luke has like these weird wounds on his chest, like these puncture wounds. The one dude, I think his name is Phil, he's like up naked worshiping the thing in the attic.
Yeah.
The one guy just peed his pants, and I don't remember what happened to the other dude.
Did anything happen? Did he just kind of have bad?
I think he just had some
something?
nightmares or something.
Yeah.
And this still doesn't convince them to freaking leave the woods. So like after like obviously like some weird supernatural crap, they just kind of try to not talk about it and pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely spooked, but it's still not to the level it should be. They're just kind of like, oh, that was weird. Like, what the hell is that?
So then they argue about what they're gonna do, and like instead of splitting up, this is like the only smart thing they do. They stay together. They go deeper into the woods, and it comes nighttime again. And this time they actually just pitch their tents and sleep. And during the night, Hutch, the one that not the one that hurt his knee, the other one, he ends up getting taken by the monster. They chase after him, and they can't get him. So they go back and get their stuff, and they just like continue on without him. They eventually come across him, and he's been gutted like the deer, basically.
Yeah, he's done for.
So then they get attacked again by the creature. This time Phil gets killed, and Luke and Dom have to go on without him. And I think they keep going on, and they get captured by this group of like, I don't know, pilgrims, basically.
Yeah, neophytes or worshippers of this creature.
So they take him in there, and they basically like, I think they prepare some ritual to like sacrifice him or something, and then I can't remember what they do. What do they like? Put him on a spit roast or something?
The Dom
I think they
or whatever.
burn him, don't they?
Yeah, they put him on a pyre, and doesn't the monster just come and get him?
The monster comes and gets him, and then
and they're chanting and stuff.
Oh yeah, they're pagans. This woman comes in and explains that the monster is the bastard god spawn of Loki. Which is actually funny. They talked about this in the movie.
Yeah, it is. I kind of thought that was interesting, though.
And they worship him because he's like, I guess they're like hundreds of years old, and they give him sacrifices and stuff. And because the guy Luke has all this like strife, he's been picked to, I don't even remember why. I guess he's been picked to be a new worshiper for Loki. But he ends up breaks out of his chains. He burns down the house, kills some of them, gets a gun. He actually shoots the monster a couple times, and it doesn't do anything. And then he basically just gets into a scuffle with the monster, runs out of the woods, and then the monster can't chase him out of the woods.
Imagine if they tied this movie in with Marvel and Tom Hiddleston just came down and was like, go back into the woods.
What are you guys doing down here?
This
would have been a better movie,
pretty
I
much
think, if they had tied it into Marvel. Like one of them was just like a superhero.
His friends don't know it until they're in trouble, and he starts just kicking.
Yeah, he just like throws down with those pagans.
He just has he can shoot beams out of his hands and just roast everybody. Oh man, yeah, that's pretty much it. I gotta say, I actually didn't hate this.
Yeah,
movie.
I didn't hate this movie. I thought it was like
I liked it. I say that lightly, but I actually enjoyed it for the most part. I had issues with it, but it was better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be some straight up trash that I was turning on, and I was pleasantly surprised compared to what I thought it was going to be. All right, yeah, so I guess we can get into it. Would you lean more on the side of you liked it, or were you like?
I would say for a horror movie, I liked it, but the problem is I generally don't like horror movies, and I still feel like it had some dumb horror movie tropes.
I think the worst part of this is that those guys, and I mean, I hate to say the worst part because it is just a trope, but these guys act like idiots.
Yeah, they really
in this
do.
Movie. I mean, there are so many different occasions where a different course of action with any modicum of reason or rationality could have probably saved them. But I guess at the same time, that's kind of just something you have to accept when going into most horror movies.
Well, what kind of bothered me is they took all this equipment out there. Like they had a lot of stuff, but they're like no like satellite phone or anything. And it's like they were pretty deep in the wilderness. So
yeah, they should have definitely had some means of communication.
GPS.
I mean, I think they just had their cell phones or whatever, but obviously they didn't have any service. So
because they basically, I mean, they do get lost in the woods essentially. Because he says that they'll be able to make it through the woods, I think, before nightfall. I feel like he says that. Because I think he says if they go through the woods, they can make it back in one day.
Yeah, I think he says it's an 8-hour trip or something like that. And obviously it takes them much, much longer than that. And I guess it's partly because of that guy's leg.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Kind of holds them up some.
I mean, I really think they should have brought a GPS.
Like, I didn't understand, was his leg made worse by the bad juju in the woods? It doesn't seem like, it seems like his leg got really bad for no reason.
Well, he claims he basically like tore his meniscus or something, which is like, I think one of those things where it's like if you walk on it the wrong way, it's going to like disintegrate.
Oh, okay. I guess that's what it is. I thought he just kind of sprained his ankle a little bit, and I didn't understand why halfway through the movie it was like, oh, his leg is real bad. I thought I didn't know if it was some nefarious energy in the woods or something that was.
No, I think he said either it was his ACL or his MCL or his meniscus or something, and he basically said like, if you do that, you can't really walk at all. Which is odd because I think he runs at one point.
I just can't imagine. I mean, again, I would have never gone the woods route in the first place, but they're only maybe 5. I don't know how long the timeline was of when they found that gutted deer hanging, but man, that would have been, again, turn around, knees to chest, get out of here.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, because it's like, it's already almost dark, I feel like, when they go into the woods.
Yeah, it's almost dark. They know, at the very least, even forgetting pagans or who else was in the woods, at the very least they know there's going to be bear there. I mean, they even say like, "Oh yeah, there's lots of bears."
Yeah, I mean,
here.
and they're not properly
Like-
equipped to fight them.
No way. So like, if I'm already worried about bears and then I see a ritualistically gutted deer hanging from the tree, are you kidding me? Like, get out of there.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's very clear that, like, there's some bad people. Like, that's the kind of thing if I was a kid and I was in the woods and I saw that, like, right outside my house, I would have been, like, out of there at light speed.
Yeah, seriously.
And I mean, they were
Oh
far
my
from
God.
civilization. I actually thought this was going to go more of the way. And actually, I feel like maybe they were shooting for that angle a little bit, like the way of, like, the Blair Witch Project or something.
It did kind of remind me of that, and I actually like that it wasn't found footage.
Yeah, me too.
It played in that realm without having to do found footage, and I actually liked how they did it. It just worked. But yeah, I liked quite a bit about it. I actually thought the horror elements up until close to the end, I thought were pretty effective. I mean, I gotta say, like I don't want to say I was like spooked, but there were moments where I was kind of like, I had the volume down a little bit, and I was kind of, because I was watching this late at night, and I was kind of just. I was involved in it, and it
I was into the
affecting
movie,
me
but
somewhat.
I don't think the horror really worked for me. I just feel like it worked as a movie, at least.
Yeah, I like how they didn't show the creature really. The way they showed it throughout most of the movie was pretty decently effective. I thought that first scene in the house was pretty creepy.
Yeah, when they came into the house, that I feel like was a highlight.
Yeah, that was a good scene. In terms of scares, I kind of like the pagans at first. There was something really off-putting about them, even the way they looked and the way that one older lady talked. Like it was weird, and it felt obviously they are from a different era. Most of them, at least, seem like they're from a different time period, and it felt that way, and you got a sense of that you were totally disconnected from any reality, and it was kind of off-putting for me. And then the end of the movie is where it kind of, I wasn't as interested, or it was a little unsatisfying to me. The movie kind of takes a turn and becomes almost more like an Evil Dead type movie or something, where he just kind of loses it and destroys everything. And I don't want to say it was unsuccessful, but it changed the movie for me, and it made me look back at the rest of it kind of differently. I also wasn't crazy about the design of the creature either when you fully see it.
I actually think I kind of disagree. Like, I kind of liked, because the whole point of the movie, I think, was he was like struggling with the fact that he did nothing while his friend got killed.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a redemption
Yeah,
arc. Like, all right, I'm gonna get this gun.
I actually
and shoot
do
at
agree
this
there. It
monster
did make sense. I just. Yeah, I mean that's also a good point, because it does. The movie does do a decent job of building up that, hey, this guy has a personal thing he needs to work through, and that the end events there kind of turn it. It just, I don't know, it just felt a little disconnected to me at the end. It made sense, but I just, the tone of the movie kind of shifted in a way that was a little off-putting for me. But I also I wasn't crazy about. I don't want to say the design of the monster was terrible, but I didn't like the face. Like, I thought the face looked stupid. It was like this little face. I can't even
the monster
describe
mostly
how
looked
it
weird
looks.
rather than scary.
Yeah, I think I was just expecting something cooler in the end. But I mean, I kind of like how it was part moose or whatever. I just was not crazy about that face. I don't know.
No, I definitely agree. Because it had like a weird kind of human face.
Yeah, but in like with those eyes and the dark, it almost looked like a Jawa or something, like a Jawa face on there, and I don't know, it was just that didn't really work for me, but yeah, I mean overall I kind of dug it. I'll tell you what I did like was the setting.
Yeah, me too.
I
The
thought
cinematography was pretty good, mostly in the beginning.
The cinematography was good, yeah, especially in the beginning when it's that fog and you see down into the valley with the woods, and I think they did a really good job of. I think that's what creeped me out the most is the woods themselves. I think they did really good job of just differentiating in different parts of the woods. Like I like how that first time when what's that mean? Luke runs up that hill because it looks like daylight, and then it just leads to like this whole other section of woods that's just colored differently.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good.
That's a moment where you just like, oh, these guys are fucked. Like where you just see woods as far as the eye can see.
Yeah, that was I because you think he's like finally made it, and then he gets up there and it's literally just more woods.
Yeah, I thought that was good. Like, I thought the performances were decent. I mean, they weren't anything to write home about, but I thought the main guy was pretty good.
Yeah, I like the performances. They were definitely better than Cloverfield.
Yeah, they were a lot better than Cloverfield. I mean, there were times where the guys kind of got on my nerves a little bit. I was just like, you guys are tool bags, but and just making stupid decisions. But overall, I was down for it. It kind of reminded me of The Descent. It really felt very similar to that, except just guys instead of girls and woods instead of like a cavern.
Yeah.
But I guess that's a lot of horror movies.
Yeah, I definitely follow a lot of tropes.
Yeah. I don't know. Anything else to... trying to think other stuff to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the performances were okay. I think the plot was more interesting slightly than your average horror movie, just because they did a lot of stupid stuff, but they weren't helplessly stupid.
Yeah, and I think the performances helped ground it a bit too. They kind of felt like real people to a degree. So it's not like the performances were so laughably bad that it just took me out of it. Even though they were making stupid decisions, I was kind of it just still felt real enough that I was willing to go along with it, as opposed to just being totally taken out of the movie.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know if I have. What did you think of? I will say the one other creepy thing I thought were those voices you heard when they were at the pagan place. That was kind of weird. I don't know if the payoff to that was very satisfying in terms of what. I don't know if were those like mummified corpses like still alive or something and still worshiping the thing. I didn't really get.
I think so, but
that didn't make a whole lot of sense. But the sounds they were making when they first get to that pagan place and you hear what's his name being tortured up there and you hear that those raspy chanting voices, I thought that was pretty effective.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
So we ready to put a number on this thing?
Let's put a number on this bad boy. What are you going
I think I'm just going 5.5 out of 10.
I think I'm gonna go a 6.5 out of 10. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, for me, it's like
nothing.
It's a low rating because it's a horror movie, and that unfortunately, horror movies have to do a lot for them to be good for me.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I can understand that. I like a good horror movie, and this was to me basically like a slightly above average.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, there are our reviews. These are both on Netflix currently, so I would say check out Cloverfield Paradox at your own risk.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you like horror movies, I think The Ritual is worth a poke. So, all right. What do you want to close out on, Dave? We have some.
We do have an email
right?
question we want to get around to because we thought it was actually decent for once.
All right. Email us at seriousfilmcritics@gmail.com, all one word. So, yeah, send your emails to us, and maybe we'll read them on the show, like this young gentleman here.
Yeah, it's Jared from Lawrence, Kansas.
Oh, okay. All right, Jared.
And he wants to know, he says there are songs that when you hear them immediately remind you of a movie. And his example was Stuck in the Middle with You. You know, that's obviously from Reservoir Dogs. So are there any songs that would instantly take us to a movie?
Man, he did pick the one that I always think of. That is, whenever I think of a movie music, that is literally the first one I go to is Stuck in the Middle with You in Reservoir Dogs. Also, the theater I work in the kitchen sometimes, and they always like every once in a while they'll do like a playlist or a channel, and this song plays a lot back there. So I hear this song all the time, so it makes me think about it even more. Man, I don't know if I'm gonna have any like exciting answers.
Yeah,
here.
The one I could think of would be, what's that song? Was it Rocky IV where he's like training in the.
Oh, is that the one? Like,
yeah, exactly. I don't ever really hear that song, but if I do, like that instantly, I'm gonna think of that movie. That's
such a good scene too, man. I love that scene.
It's so good. I mean, that whole movie with like the robot, it's stupid, but
I like that movie a lot. Rocky IV is, I think, vastly underrated, or I feel like there's kind of a negative perception about it. I'm not sure, but I really enjoy it. Where you see Dolph Lundgren is training to get on that machine and. They're sticking the steroids in him. It's like, that's a good one. Also, I guess Eye of the Tiger too with Rocky has a lot.
Oh yeah,
of
Eye of the Tiger definitely take me to Rocky.
Yeah, Eye of the Tiger. What else?
I feel like there were some, but
I would say "Don't You Forget About Me" from
oh
the
yeah,
Breakfast
yeah,
Club.
yeah.
That song always makes me think of Breakfast Club instead of just that song. Was that song written for the Breakfast
I feel
Club?
like it was, but I can't say with certainty.
I can't either, but if not, it definitely makes me think of it.
I feel like there were a lot more, but I would have to think.
Another one is I don't know what the song is called, but it's that Tom Jones song. It's not unusual.
What movie does that remind you of?
Mars Attacks.
Yeah.
Do you know what song I'm talking?
I feel like I've heard that song in multiple
I used
movies, though.
Probably. I don't know. Like that song always reminds me of that movie at the end when I think that is Tom Jones in the movie.
I think it is too.
At the end there. Yeah. Man, I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Yeah, this is a doozy.
It's a tough one to try to come up with on the spot.
I mean, I guess like maybe another one would be like Back to the Future, like any of the Huey Lewis and the News songs.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, definitely.
But you know,
or
those were like
or
specifically for the movie.
I think. American Psycho with Hip to Be Square. That's one. Oh, what was the other? I just had one on the tip of my tongue. No, it's gone. Those are some pretty
we had
good
a
ones,
decent
though.
size list.
Yeah, maybe we'll come back to this if we think of any other good ones, but it's about all I got for right now. All right, man. Let's just put a bow on this thing.
Wraps it up.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening. As always, follow us on our various social media platforms. We are on Facebook. Just search the Serious Film Critics. Comment on whatever we post and like it and all that good stuff. Like us on Twitter, where it's Serious_Critics. And yeah, send us your emails, as I said before, like Jared from Lawrence, Kansas. Thank you, Jared. So, all right, guys. Good to have you, and we'll see you next time. Stay tuned for the next episode. We're going to be doing that's going to be a biggie. I don't know what we're reviewing yet exactly, but we're probably going to do pre-Oscar talk and do our top 10 list of 2017. So I've been curating my list closely, so we'll see how that goes. All right, we'll see you next time, guys. Take it easy.